Okay, today's daf is Yoma daf tet, Yoma 9. The famous Gemara over here on Talmud Beis. The Gemara compares the destruction of the Beis Hamikdash Rishon and the Beis Hamikdash Sheni. And the Beis Hamikdash Rishon was ultimately rebuilt. The Beis Hamikdash Sheni was never rebuilt. So the Gemara says, what's the difference? In the middle of Talmud Beis, Sinas Chinam, Lamedcha sheshkula Sinas Chinam k'neged shalosh averos, avozara gilerayas v'shichas dam. First Beis Hamikdash, they did 3 averos Chamuros, and Beis Hamikdash Sheni, seemingly they didn't do those things. They just had Sinas Chinam. Now it's very hard to understand why Sinas Chinam, which is maybe a violation of mitzvah's essay. Mrs. Losa say it says Lo Sisna Sechicha Bavavecha. It's a simple lav. Pashas, you can't even get malchus for it because lav shemo maisa. Compared to Gila Raya Shuchas Dam Vodazara, the Gimel Chamuros, you have to give your life for those things. How could we equate them and say Sinas Chinam is worse than them? It's hard to understand. It's an obvious question. The Gemara on Tet Amud Aleph. The Gemara again compares the eras of the Beis Hamikdash Rishon and the Beis Hamikdash Sheni in the middle of Talmud Aleph. Yuras Ma'idich Siv Mar Yochanan Ma'idich Siv Yuras Hashem Tosef Yamim V'Shnos Rishayim Tiksarna. Yuras Hashem Tosef Yamim is Hamikdash Rishon Sh'amad Arba Meos V'Eser Shanim. It was 410 years. V'lo Shimshu Bo'ela Yudches Kohanim Gdolim. Only 18 Kohanim Gdolim served. V'shnos Rishayim Tiksarna is the Mikdash Sheni Sh'amad Dalad Meos V'Esrim Mishana. It was 420 years. V'shimshu Bo'yoser Mishalosh Meos Kohanim. More than 300 Kohanim served, and the Gemara concludes almost all of them served for a year or less. So the question is, it says Yiras Hashem Tosef Yamim, seemingly that only the Rishayim, the Beis Hamikdash Sheni, they were Rishayim, and the Beis Hamikdash Rishon, Yiras Hashem Tosef Yamim. There was Yiras Shamayim, but we know that the Beis Hamikdash Rishon, there was the Gimel Chamuros being done. Not only that, but the Gemara in the middle of Talmud Beis says this Girs is taken out by the Bach, but it says Rishayim Hayu El Shitalu B'Chona B'Akadosh Baruch Hu Asam Mikdash Rishon. It said that in the Beis Hamikdash Rishon they were also Rishayim. They just trusted in Hashem. It says also in this pasuk that the Kohanim took money for their Piskei Halacha. Hashem Yishanu. Leimar Allah Hashem Kirbein Lo Tavo Aleinu Ra. Lefichach Hevi Aleinu Hakadosh Baruch Hu Gimel Gzeros Keneged Gimel Averos Shebiyadam. So you see that even the Kohanim, they were Rishayim. So what is this pasuk on Amud Aleph saying Yiras Hashem Tosef Yamim, that they got extra life because they're Yiras Shamayim? It seems the Gemara says explicitly, if we don't take out the Gemara, the Yiras like the Bach, that they were Rishayim. The third question, the Gemara is Machlokas on Talmud Beis on the bottom. Who was greater, the generation of the first Beis Hamikdash or generation of the second Beis Hamikdash? And to Machlokas, Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Eliezer against Reish Lakish. And Reish Lakish says, Amalei Reish Lakish Adar Ba'achron Madife Afagav Diika Shibun Malchus Ka'ask B'Torah. He says they were greater because they were Osek B'Torah. To this Rabbi Yochanan and Rabbi Eliezer answer, Amalei Bira Tochiach Shechazal Yishonim L'Chazal Achronim. The Beis Hamikdash is a proof that the first generation was greater. The generations of the first Beis Hamikdash were greater because they got the Beis Hamikdash back. So obviously their averas weren't as severe. How do we understand the Shita of Reish Lakish? I want to suggest over here, like we said before, that really they were both Rishayim. They were doing the first Beis Hamikdash. They did the Gimel Chamuros. I want to say also in the second era, the second Beis Hamikdash, they also did the Gimel Chamuros. The difference between, and that's why it says that they were Rishayim, like the Gemara says, Rishayim Hayu in the first Beis Hamikdash. It wasn't exactly like the pasuk says Yiras Hashem, that they only had Yiras Hashem. They also did Averos, a lot of Averos, Gimel Chamuros. What's the difference in the first base of Mikdash and the second base of Mikdash? The first base of Mikdash, exactly the Gemara says, Rishonim hayu al shel talu b'tkonim ha'kadosh baruch Hu. They were sharm. They did averos. When they were doing the right thing, when they were trying to do the right thing, they did ishtadlus for whatever they wanted to do, for their mitzvos, for their parnasa, for their Torah, anything they needed in life. They did ishtadlus, a little bit of ishtadlus. No one's going to live without doing any ishtadlus. But mostly they relied on Hashem. They relied on Hashem to take care of their needs. They did a little ishtadlus, and they relied on Hashem to take care of their needs. When you rely on Hashem to take care of your needs, so it's very understandable why a person could be jealous or hate another person. Because when you're not in control of things, or you think you're not in control of things because you're not making a maximum effort, so it's very easy to be jealous. It's understandable how you'd be jealous of your friend, that he's getting more than you, or he's doing better than you in something. So therefore the sinna towards your friend would be not besimcha sinas chinam, it would be a justified sinna. Still be usher, but it wouldn't be as bad of a sinna. When Mashiach came in the second base of Mikdash, they were rishoyim, that they were gemurim, they were rishoyim that they did bad, and when they were trying to do things necessarily they needed to do, either mitzvos or parnasa or Torah, the things that they had to do, they relied on themselves. They didn't trust in Hashem. They did hishtadlus, they gave it their maximum effort. They believed in themselves completely. That complete confidence in themselves that they could do whatever they needed to be done for their lives. And on the one hand, it's a maila, like Reish Lakish says, aski b'Torah. They put maximum effort into Torah. They gave it all they had. They gave it all they got. They left everything out there on the floor, and that's a maila. But because when you're trusting solely in yourself and you're doing everything you possibly can, it's not understandable why you should hate your fellow man. You're doing everything you can. So it's your own success or your own failure. Obviously Hashem plays a part in it, but really it's due to your actions. So why are you jealous of your friends? That's a sinas chinam. When it says shkula, sinas chinam keneged gimel chamuros, it doesn't mean shkula, it doesn't say shava, it doesn't say it's equal. Shkula means it weighs, it has weight. That during both eras of the Beis Hamikdash, they did the Gimel Chamuros, but it was added, Sinas Chinam added weight to the scale of the era of the second Beis Hamikdash because they shouldn't have had Sinas Chinam. And that's why the pasuk says on Amud Aleph, Yiras Hashem, Tosef Yamim, Shnos Rishayim Tiksarna. Really, they were Rishayim in both things. The only difference in the first Beis Hamikdash and the second Beis Hamikdash was that they had Yiras Hashem in the first Beis Hamikdash. They trusted in Hashem, like the Gemara says, B'tchonim Hashem, which they didn't have in the second Beis Hamikdash.